Hello and welcome back. It's night 1, day 19 of E3 2018, and we are here. I'm Jeff Gerstmann. We've got a whole nother batch of guests from the game you may know as Tunic, because that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it's called now.
Yeah,
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, Andrew is here.
Yeah, that's me.
Dicey, known by some.
Sure. Yeah.
Are you? Is it just it's a nickname because your last name ends with the dice?
You've picked up on that way faster than a lot of people. Actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, I figured it out.
Super clever.
Fantastic. Rebekah Saltsman of Finji is here.
Heck yeah, I am.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. Adriel Wallick is here. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good.
It is fantastic to see you.
Yeah, thanks. It's pretty good to see you.
Fair. That's fair.
7 out of 10.
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
Rami is here as well. Of Vlambeer. Of
You got the it's nice to see you, and I just got the it's Vlambeer.
Yeah.
It's Vlambeer.
It's Vlambeer. Good to see you,
what it
Jeff.
is.
It's
Good to see you.
Vlambeer.
Glad to be here.
Adam Saltsman, also of Finji, is here. And Harris.
Yes, Harris Foster. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great, Harris.
So glad to hear it.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Fantastic,
Yes.
Harris. Thanks for coming, Harris.
Thank you for having me.
Great, Harris.
All right.
And Felix is back there enhancing some of the chalkboard
Goku
stuff.
has like 1,000 arms now.
That's like a Astra's Wrath thing going on now.
Not as many. He also doesn't have enough pecs, so I'm working on that now.
Okay, yeah, no, that's definitely need more pecs.
You need 1 per arm, technically.
1 pec per arm. I mean, is that as like a minimum?
Not a
or-
doctor, but I'm pretty. I mean, they're connected, aren't
Where
they?
are the abs on the arms anyway?
It's not 2, 4. Too many.
You need.
I don't think
Nowhere near
Goro
space.
had 4 pecs
Too
and
many.
Goro had 4 arms.
Yeah.
Are you sure Goro didn't have 4 pecs?
I don't know. Can someone look at a Goro?
I'm on. I got it.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Harris, get on Goro.
That's why you brought
Harris is
back.
on Goro duty.
How many pecs do you centaurs have?
Oh man, I don't.
I think they have upper and lower.
Yeah, like a,
Like
think they
arm
have a
pecs
lower-
and
I think
front
there's a-
hoof pecs?
Well, there's
Yeah.
like a lower set.
I'm very
pecs.
confused by what is happening around me.
Is Goro with 1 R or 2?
It's 1 R.
Okay.
It's 1 R, Harris.
Okay.
Like
Here's
Zoro
Goro.
with a G.
Oh, does this man have pecs?
Oh my god, I don't think he does.
He just has
Oh, yeah, there's
yeah,
some
yeah.
pecs.
It's like a-
There might be, wait, but there might be a snack.
There are many
Okay,
incarnations.
there's
No
some
one
pecs.
can see this.
Thrilling.
I'm glad
Yeah.
we have good content.
We've already derailed
So what was the conclusion, though?
all the
Yeah, what was
I think you can get away if you only have 4 arms. You can get away with 2 pecs if they're quite tall.
tall pecs
Yeah.
that are like dual pecs?
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
a double,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Double
like a
deck
premium
pecs,
pec.
yeah.
What
Yeah,
if
yeah,
your arms have arms?
Then the
Those are
pec is in the
If
bicep.
arms have arms, that I don't think that's functional.
No.
Tunic. You've been showing Tunic around here and there, you know, PAX, and it's been kind of making shows and stuff, and it just rocketed to this. It made it onto the Microsoft press conference stage. That seems like a big deal.
We didn't tell Andrew that it was going to be mentioned with a text.
Yeah.
We knew the trailer was going to be there, but we forgot to mention the rest of it.
Yeah, I had no idea
Sorry.
Bill was gonna shout out my hometown. Hey, Halifax.
Yeah. and so
Is that the Halifax green?
yeah,
Like,
the
Halifax in the house.
everyone in Halifax knows what that means, and frankly, it's a little rude. So, what was that like? Because you've been making Tunic like largely alone, like by yourself, right? That's the
yeah. And then I mean, not entirely alone.
Yeah.
I've got you know, my friend Kevin over there who's working on audio.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's audio right there.
Yeah.
Put that in the game.
Was that you? Were you the guy in the front row of the Xbox presser every time they said exclusive?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Great.
Also, a guy named Terrence Lee, Lifeformed. He did the music for Dust Force.
Okay,
And
yeah.
the Double Fine documentary. He's doing the soundtrack for it as well. So
Cool.
not entirely alone. I've of course got the multi-pec muscle of Finji behind me.
Yeah.
Who helps with stuff like getting things on the Xbox stage. Oh yeah, and of course.
Oh no, I thought you meant I was multi-pec muscle. I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
you're the arm of the multi-pecked muscle of
Yeah.
the Saltzmans.
Does the fox have pecs?
I was just thinking
Yeah.
that.
We
under
were
the
talking
tunic,
about this.
are there
No,
pecs?
but it's kind of spoiler material.
Oh.
Okay.
At the end of the game, takes off the shirt.
There's going to be some fan art that will accommodate your.
Your highly specific needs.
I think I'm going to skip on this part of the conversation.
So with Andrew being behind closed doors doing meetings all day, he asked us to run errands for him, and he requested a cup of coffee. And because all of us are so busy, we had to exchange the coffee between us. We came to do the math that it took more people to get him his coffee than are actually making this game.
I've never felt so fancy in my entire life.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's weird.
But how was the coffee?
It was Starbucks coffee, but I hadn't had it in a little while. It was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been there. Yeah. On the Finji end, this is this a lot of kind of what is this process like of this game kind of making its way into the press conference? Does Microsoft kind of come and say like
7 months? It's 7 months of work. Yeah, they contacted us last fall.
Okay.
Well, everyone contacted us sort of last fall. And then we sort of had to pick who was most excited about it, like what audience, what demographic, like what consoles, like most excited about, so like supporting and believing in the project. And kind of at the end of that, it ended up being like the Xbox team, and they've been awesome. But then it was like a run, like a sprint for 7 months to like get a new trailer ready and keep sprinting towards the sort of new parts of the game that we've added. So yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah, that's the like anatomy of a press conference reveal seems like such a. It feels like everyone's story is a little bit different.
Yeah, and we have to keep the secrets for so long. Like since we picked, I mean, I've been to 2 PAXs and a GDC since like we knew who our console partner's been, and I'm just like, just can't tell anybody like what's actually going on. Just play dumb a lot. So
I think the big relief really is that now that we've announced that it's an Xbox console launch exclusive, nobody's asking about Switch ports anymore.
No,
just
nobody
all the
at all.
questions went away. It was great.
I'm surprised that actually stopped them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I don't have
so
400
So then
emails in my inbox asking that question.
90 days after the Xbox release, Switch will just be out there then, right? Just 3 months, right? That's all it'll take, right?
Oh yeah, ports are so easy.
Yeah.
Killer
You
Queen
just
was up and
click,
running in 4 days, I was just told. So
You just
just-
click
you
port
just
to
hit a
Unity
button.
or
yeah,
port to
it's
Switch.
just export as
I'm
Switch.
going to literally flip this couch.
Rami, how come there aren't more Vlambeer games on the Switch? I'm told you just press a button.
I will flip your couch.
That's
Please
a
flip
chair.
this couch.
No. Yeah, it turns out ports are a lot of work.
And expensive.
And-
They're like
Yeah.
40 grand a piece.
Yeah.
Minimum, if that's an easy game.
Right, right.
Some of the least fun stuff you can do in game development. Because you do game development, you make stuff. It's fun, it's creative, and then you fix your own problems, which is your own fault. But porting means you fix somebody else's problems in how they created the platform, and that's less fun. So I like fixing my own shit.
Well, how was it? I mean, I think we talked about it before, but now that you've had a little bit of distance from it, getting those 64-bit iOS versions up and running, real blast, right?
I'm just gonna go. No, that was not fun.
What? Now you know why I drink.
Yeah, I should. This is this close to just somebody give me whiskey or something.
Breaking your lifelong streak
Yeah,
of
just-
not drinking.
Yep.
It was the 64-bit ports, man.
Yeah.
It's such a weird time in that regard. Like so much stuff. There's so many platforms. There's not really like the platform anymore, which kind of used to be how indie would work. Like this is the platform. Here's where we make games.
Right.
If that does really well, we'll check out some other stuff. Now it's if you don't launch across 3 or 4 platforms or like have an exclusive deal, that's not a good spot to be as an indie. So now launching a game is a lot more weird work. A lot more like negotiating, a lot more
That's my
navigating.
whole job.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
not-
spend my whole job is to like somehow wrangle these like massive media conglomerates into like believing in our tiny projects and then
Right.
like shepherding them through like basically the gauntlet. Like how much support can we get? Like how can we take this to like the entire world? Like the world's a pretty effing big place.
Like we got really lucky. We have really cool partners, but like these processes are designed for companies that are still much bigger than our companies.
That have time for those types of
And then
media,
it has
right?
faxes.
Yeah.
Why do some companies still need you to send faxes? This is
Right?
like a real thing.
Yeah.
I
I'm
have to
so
like use
confused.
online services to like send shit into these places.
I used to have to fax a handwritten name list for Train Jam for the passengers to Amtrak.
To Amtrak,
See,
that does
if
not
you told me
surprise me.
Amtrak needs a fax, I believe that 100%. If you're like, hey,
Telegraph.
this console manufacturer is still dealing in faxes sometimes, it's like, hey, look, I can sign a PDF with my finger. I can make that happen. We don't need to do this.
Oh no, I have to like send.
It's a test of loyalty.
I guess so.
Fundamentally.
Yeah.
Inked contracts. Like I have to sign it with
Oh,
ink.
like the
You can't
original.
do like
And-
digital.
No,
signing?
no, originals
depending
and
on-
copies, and you sign them like some Scrooge McDuck shit, and then you have to put it in different envelopes and take it to the
And send
post
multiple
office like an
copies of the
idiot.
same damn thing, and overnight it.
I have, yeah, no.
If there's two of them, it's twice as real.
Video games are at the bleeding edge of technology. For the industry.
They're the greatest.
bleeding
They're
edge
the
comes from
greatest
the
art
paper
form.
cut,
Yeah, right.
from
Yeah.
the fax
Yeah.
paper. Yeah.
So when it comes to, and feel free to, I don't know how much you want to necessarily get into this, but, dealing with console manufacturers, platform holders, and trying to decide like who a launch partner is going to be, do you find, that seems like it could be some vicious cutthroat business of like trying to play them off of each other for the best
we run
support
a field
or,
day. We just run like a gym field day, like you did in elementary school. We
Sure.
just bring them all out.
yeah.
Put them in like uniforms, matching uniforms. Put them in an obstacle course. Just fucking let them go.
Was I being judged that whole time on field day? Was there like a
Probably.
gym coach out there who was like, oh, didn't make it through the tire swing. No. Not going with that one.
Only did
Just
two
them all out.
pull-ups.
Yeah.
2 pull-ups?
Yeah.
You'd win.
I've never done a pull-up in my life.
I used to do them in college, doing laundry.
I used to do like a bunch of triathlons, so I'd swim all the time. I still never could do a pull-up.
I think there's two things. There's two versions of this relationship with companies this size, right? Where you are
Bring it back on track.
Yeah, moving forward. Agenda items.
How many pull-ups can Xbox do?
Oh, like a lot.
How many pull-ups do they
Have you
say?
seen Phil
powerful,
Spencer?
yeah.
Phil Spencer can do pull-ups.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really want to see Sean Layden and Phil Spencer doing pull-ups next to each other. This is just my next
Oh.
No, well, no.
Set this up. I think that's going to be the Sony press conference next year.
Yeah. No,
What
At
is up
this
with
rate.
that?
Leading to that performance art, kind of a,
And then Reggie's in the back just like doing push-ups instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just laughing the whole
Yeah.
time. These
Like
idiots.
one-handed push-ups.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, so.
I think they're like you get a fantasy sometimes. You're like, oh, we've got this hot IP, and we've got leverage now, and we're gonna play these guys off each other, and like we're like bacteria, and they're like a real animal,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you have no leverage. Like what you just want to find like.
They're just like, here's the deal. If you want this deal, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's fine.
You want to find somebody who hopefully just like likes the same crap that you do, which
Yeah.
sounds so like.
Sounds so stupid, but
Yeah,
that's
you
exactly what
build
it
this up
is.
into such a more complicated thing. Like, oh, we've got to find out, what the rev share and the thing, and we're gonna get all the moving
Yeah.
parts. And like, at the end of the day, like, you just want them to be like, your game's really cool. Maybe we can work on it too.
Well, that's how we pick our projects. Like when
Yeah.
we publish things, like we published Night in the Woods because we like believed in that project. Like we were so on board with working on it for
You
like
should check all the numbers too.
4 years of our life.
Yeah.
We'll check all the numbers too,
But it's the same thing with like when you pick a publishing or a console partner. It's like which team loves you so much that they actually want to spend that much time, like building this like insane game with you. And yeah, Xbox just sort of like they were just there. They wanted to do that with us.
Yeah.
Um,
And gave it like a really amazing spotlight too along the way, which is super
yeah,
cool.
and we didn't have anything really to do with that. We just like sent in it
like here are the
you like
assets.
this trailer?
Yeah.
Here's a work in progress.
And do
We
they
think
get back
this
to
is
you with
cool,
notes?
we've
So they
agreed
just
so
like
far.
the fox needs to be, there needs to be more. I need more fox in this trailer.
Yeah, I mean,
I need more treasure chests
the
being
first
opened in this
pass
trailer.
was like, I don't know if you saw, but they were the final trailer has like a lot of eviscerations and decapitations.
Good call.
And the
Yeah.
first draft did not have as many. We got a lot
thought
of really formative feedback about, what if when the blood comes out of their neck, what if it goes in really slow motion and splatters on the camera lens?
That's just sexy.
Yeah.
That's what
It's like,
that
is. I thought-
it's game design 101, but we were
it was
like,
a real
don't worry.
standout at the
It's-
Xbox
yeah.
conference.
The Forza Horizon
No,
like
nothing else
bro
had guns.
voice really made it for me. Just the announcer just yelling about how cool everything was.
Yeah.
That was
That was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
No way.
There was that one email we got where it said, make sure the fox revs his sword. And I didn't know
Yeah.
what that meant, but then we pulled that one off.
Yeah.
Dicey's gonna die now.
Yeah.
He's just gonna
Dicey's
leave
got to
the
flip
couch.
the couch.
Like, by the way, they signed off on putting a bunch of stuff into the game.
Are we going to...
Yeah.
So
Have we announced
We
the
did-
It's
battle
now a battle royale game, right?
I gotta get back to work.
Moratorium on battle royale jokes. No more.
I got the
I
only
don't
one
care
in.
anymore.
Good.
Every time anything happens, they're, what if it was 100 people?
And the thing
then it was
is, like,
shut up.
There were not that many announced here.
But there was one game that was 1,000 players, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Wait, what?
Who came up with the
Maverick
idea that
something.
100 players times 10 is better than
It's
100
10 times better. That's
So
math.
this is my first
Exactly.
E3,
Yeah.
and I'm bummed that I did not get to see my boy Jethro Tull on stage shoutcasting whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, well, you know, they're probably still repping Darwin Project somewhere, so he's probably still
Making
he's probably
music and
still
making
yelling.
games.
Yeah, no, he's probably rocking out and still
Sweet.
watching people play Darwin Project, I assume.
And yelling the whole time.
Oh, definitely. They don't call them shoutcasters because they just like hang out and not yell.
Wow.
What are you talking about? What is going on?
Did you
What
zone
is
out for like 10
happening?
seconds and lose everything?
No, I was awake the whole time. That's the problem. That's why I'm confused.
Rami, you've it's you know,
I'm just never gonna know.
This is why you heard me.
how has your show been? What have you been up to? Are you working on a thing? Are you out there pitching people? Are you just like hanging out at the show? Are you hanging out around the show?
I'm curious about this question.
Yeah, there's actually a lot
you
of
doing, Rami?
all of that going on the same time. It's been a bit of a strange show for me. I have a lot of meetings. We have some potential new projects that we might start working on soon. After JW finished Minute, which was his side project with his team, Vlambeer sort of like got them back together. So we're talking about what's next for the future.
Cool.
Which is exciting. It's just nice to be able to have something new after doing community stuff, like helping developers around the world for a few years.
Yeah.
Love doing that, but starting to get a little tired. Like,
It's a lot of travel.
I need to make something again. Like this, it just needs. At some point, I need to make a video game again. So Dicey 3 is a little bit of that. I did a bunch of live streaming, so I recast all of the shows, which was really fun. I've never really been on that side of everything, which also gave me a really weird. It's kind of a different perspective on E3. It made me realize that this is a really weird E3, which I don't. It's like a transitional year, but not a transitional year.
It's a really strange.
We try to pretend it's not a transitional year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I mean, you know, you literally had someone get on stage and talk about the next generation platforms.
As the closing note of
and you know, you had Bethesda get out there and announce and then reiterate that, like, hey, this thing that is just a flyover of a city not coming to these platforms.
Yeah.
And
it was a lot of that. It was also just a lot of weird gimmicks that didn't really fit, like the Last of Us. Like, that's the weird thing. All the games are good.
yeah.
The games are good. The games are like, I'm excited for many of the
I'm
games.
seeing a lot of things that I'm like, that stuff I want to play, that stuff I want to play, this looks like it has a ton of potential, but there's something about the show itself, now that we're like one day in and on the floor and have kind of seen it for what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and I've had this conversation a lot of times today, and a lot of times over the course of the last few days, but there's something weird.
Yeah, I haven't quite put my finger on it, but I think the industry is doing that, like, that breathing in again. Like, for a year, we like pushed everything out. Like, so many great games, 2017, like start of 2018. And like, a lot of people, I think, are just starting to rev up on the big things. But I think a lot of developers, a lot of publishers have also seen that right now the industry is kind of in a weird spot. So I think they're a little careful.
We call it constricting.
Constriction.
Yeah.
And it's like it depends on the company, but it's like a roughly 5-year loop, where like every 5 years everybody's like, I don't know, all these little games, like we gotta really like go for it. Let's like get like real big. Let's get some like No Man's Sky. Let's get some like Cuphead. Let's like do the big. We got
Triple
more
I,
big
baby.
things. Like yeah. Let's do it. And then like it turns out real weird.
This might be just whiplash from last year, though.
I think that's
like everything amazing came out last year. Like,
Right.
It was such. I mean,
Last year was nuts.
It was an incredible
like,
year.
for indies, it was a crazy year. But like for AAA, I mean, come on. Like it was an incredible year. Like Nintendo just came out like hard hitting with like everything. But then like this year we started coming into it. I was like, well, what the hell is going to be announced at all these press conferences? Because like we're like whiplashed by like everything that came out.
And they
last year.
managed it kind of well by just sort of like either announcing everything up front or just leaking it up front. Like, it's been nice. It's like nobody was surprised.
A lot of it was out of the way
most
early.
of it.
I think that kind of led to some whiplash on my part, where the more leaks that happen, the more I tend to go like, yeah, but they gotta have something else.
Yeah.
And then you sit through a press conference thinking like, they're gonna have Splinter Cell, don't worry. And then it ends, and you're like,
yeah.
oh.
Just the structure of all the pressers was a bit weird. Xbox did pretty well, I think, in structure.
I mean,
It's if your game plan is just like, here's every cool game we can think of in a row.
Right.
Buy.
And by the way, Sony's only showing 4 games, so we have our pick of anything.
But what was that with The Last of Us? I genuinely do not, like, all the respect for people who put on a show like that, but they put like 300 people in a church-like setting so they could cut 2 Last of Us footage in the same room, and then moved all of those people across 15 minutes of intermission.
Yeah.
So then we could watch the rest of the show.
And all of those people who, as I understand it, the majority of them were press because the invite list got cut way down.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they won't fit in the church.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking up your own conference for a gimmick.
None of those press got to see any of the things that were shown during the intermission because they were walking from one room to another.
Wow.
And so we had people who were there, like, getting in touch, going, "Hey, what's going on? They show anything?"
Streaming it on their phone, like while they're walking.
Yeah, exactly. They're like on Twitter trying to figure out what games are being announced at the press conference that they are at.
Please tell me Death Stranding is actually just a UPS delivery game.
That's
it. I want it. That's all. Like, if that is it.
What if it's just like...
That's AAA.
Yeah. What if it's just like a really dark Animal Crossing game, and the women in that trailer are just like, you know, you're the mayor / mail delivery person.
We have a Twitter follower who would be all about that.
What? Oh.
Is it me? Because that sounds awesome. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, that's to me. This is like...
Remember?
Yeah, most of the this is just a guy out for a hike with a bunch of weird crap in his backpack. I'm like, shit, that's the next thing we're gonna make. We're gonna make up a whole new game now. Thanks.
Yeah. Did you read that interview with Joe Kotaro about him playing Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
Because it was the greatest thing I've read in years. Yeah. He like went in depth and like, these animals eat animals, so how does this society decide which animal is who's like a leader and who's a slave?
Who's a
like,
citizen? And
and who's food?
Let's get in front of a copy night in the woods.
Yeah.
That interview was too much. It was super good.
Oh, man. But yeah, I agree. It does seem like a really strange year. I think Nintendo was like, you know, being kind of like the last press conference before the show floor opens, Nintendo was like that last moment of just like, we spent all our time on one game, and if you don't like that game,
but I think part of it, honestly, is like all the games are becoming like the one game now. Like it's like, hey, we've got a new game coming out. It's the parkour, tech trees, RPG. Your choices matter.
Community is helping us develop it in
Iron
exchange
Sights,
for some money.
open world,
is this the next Animal Crossing? That sounds awesome.
But that's it. Like we've all been talking about games becoming more multiplayer, or at least more persistent in the AAA space. And it makes a lot of sense that that's where the industry is swinging towards. I'm a little sad about that because I really like single-player games, but business-wise, this makes a lot of sense. So I think this is the year where, Orgame is a good way of saying it. It's like, everybody's doing like, here's the game, this is what the community wanted. Everybody says it's what the community wanted. Everybody says the community is going to help shape it.
These things are huge.
Online.
They're like,
I'm excited for the Tunic online mode. Like,
I
just can't wait.
how's that coming along? Is that
These are like money bag Scrooge McDuck things, though. I mean, come on. Like,
how's the netcode coming? Is it?
Oh boy.
Poor Dicey's just like having an aneurysm, like ever so slowly.
But I think that's the other piece of this is, you know, seeing companies support their games, like treating, you know, supporting their live game for a lot longer. You know, I'm used to, you know, for decades now, just like a game comes out, I play it, I you know, finish the story or get to a point where I've had enough multiplayer, and then like, okay, what's next? And I move on to another thing and move on to another thing. And there are more and more consumers out there that are just like, no, I played this one game for 2 years straight. And by the way, you suck at it and you're in the press, what's wrong with you? And I'd say like, I played 6 games this week.
The game thing like gets under my skin because like it's a lot of free-to-play games start to feel weird after a while because like the game mechanics would be really, really different, but like the game mechanics meta that encompasses the game is all the same. Yeah. And you start to feel like, oh, I'm just playing like it's like a mechanical skin on something instead of just like a graphical skin.
Sure.
And you start to get kind of tired of it. So like the thing that I think we're seeing like a teeny tiny bit of, and then I'm hoping that we start seeing more of, is them like even big companies doubling down on like little slices of these things. They have so much talent and there's so much effort and there's so much like love being expressed on these things, and they have to spread it out over so many moving parts.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just pour it into like 2 categories and go nuts on those 2 categories. And I would be so happy to see like more and more and more of that.
Same thing though, cycle. Like this is gonna, like everybody's doing this, so in 5 years everybody's doing the opposite, which I'm super excited for.
There's gonna be some weird stuff in like 3
I'm
years.
so ready for
awesome.
it. So ready.
And I mean, you talked about this on the podcast before, but like free-to-play MMOs. I used to work at a free-to-play MMO studio for customer service, and whenever we would answer support email,
Like 3 weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago.
It was not long ago. So when we would answer support emails, we would answer them in priority of how much money they spend. So if you have a problem with the game, we will answer your email fast if you spend money. And then when the email comes in, the big thing would just be, the first thing we see is how much money they spend on the game. And Jeff, people spend so much fucking money on these games.
Yeah.
The most I've ever seen, so we could see how much it is per account, most I've ever seen is $130,000.
Was not even a good MMO.
Hey, well, I'm not going to say that, but it was. I mean, it wasn't really a good MMO.
Sure, you know.
But yeah, it was a small, what you would consider a smaller, lower tier, AA MMO studio. Yeah. And these people are just spending buckets of money on these games.
Did you see that talk where somebody was just like, I don't understand why not every free-to-play game has a $1,500 item in it because somebody will buy it.
No,
like,
who said that? And
what?
can I fight them like right now?
I had the same
right now.
But they're just like, yeah, there's some sheikh in Dubai who'll buy it, and I'm like, yeah, but what about the kid who buys it who has no idea what they're doing?
Yeah.
It's like.
The people with like really fundamental basic dopamine regulation problems.
At the peak of the Battlefront crisis of items, just stuff like that, our company decided to release their $100 loot box that was random.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a $100 drop for a random item that had the exact same drop statistics as the $10 box.
I just loved that moment. That was such an industry moment, the Battlefront moment, because you know that while that was going down, while EA was getting taken to town, there's like 5 AAA studios around the world where it's like, hey, have you seen that? You see that EA thing? Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
We take out the loot boxes and make a statement, tell PR to make a statement that we'd never do it. But no, we never even thought of it.
We also feel that loot boxes are
6
bad.
months ago.
Yeah.
Their loot box team gets fired.
Yeah, that's like literally happening in like 5 or 6 videos
They're
at the same
reassigned.
It's a shame that those
They're just
cowards
fired out of a
because we would never do
They're
something like
reassigned
that.
for 4 months.
Now,
And then you just reintroduce
Yeah.
the loot boxes when like the community has
we
moved
value
on.
player choice. And we've decided that the player's choice are these random items. It's a pack of cards that can be exchanged for cosmetic items.
let's give them the choice to buy the game on Friday for $20 extra.
Yeah.
They've chosen less choice.
Whoa.
I'm
Sorry.
gonna throw you in the
Cross the line there.
I'm throwing
Giant bomb will be right back.
I'm just gonna move Adam away from here.
the sea. Throw him in the fucking sea.
I wish
I'll work on this. I can just go work on this. It's fine.
Just come up with your own 15. The press conference has happened, but maybe you'll come up with something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
15 what the?
They said they would. They said they were going to have 15 world exclusives at their press conference. Whatever that.
Were we a world exclusive?
I don't.
I don't.
I think it was a console launch exclusive.
Because we've
Right?
already
That was the-
announced.
yeah, it was
I
already
judged the different exclusives by that dude in the front wooing. So what was that? What did that do? Yeah. Okay, yeah, that guy. Yeah. I judged it by that.
Yeah.
How many 50 exclusive yeahs were there at the Microsoft conference?
A good number.
Yeah, there was a whole lot. Adriel, Train Jam is a fascinating thing to me.
You're really so good at segues.
I just every year it comes up and I'm like, I bet that would be super fucking fun to
It
go
is,
do.
Yeah, it's
I'm on
super
Train
fun.
Jam.
Actually, almost everybody.
Actually,
You've
no,
never been on
I've never
Train
been.
Jam.
I want to.
No,
Yeah.
Paris needs to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, all the rest of
Train
y'all have
Jam.
been on Train Jam. You've been on almost every single one.
Yeah, 4 of them, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been on
every
every
single
train.
You've been on every single
Train Jam
one.
was semi-figurative.
I could be on a train maybe.
Yeah, let's
Oh yeah,
You
I'm
should.
not-
I don't know
Dicey.
anything about making games.
Dicey, isn't that
You
where you
could.
first
I always.
Hey, me
I
either.
made my very
that was
first
good.
game
Yeah,
on
you
Train
did.
Jam.
Yeah. I always encourage.
After I launched actual games, but like my very first game I ever worked on, like for reals,
Yeah.
was like writing for was on Train Jam.
I did not know that. But
Yeah, no,
I-
last year.
Andrew-
yeah, with
Andrew did the
Dicey
art.
actually.
Aw. Yeah, I always encourage like everybody to come on Train Jam because it's non-competitive. There's no downside to going on it. Like worst case scenario, you just spent 2 days on literally the most beautiful train ride I've ever seen. Like I've gone on it, 5 or 6 times now.
Yeah.
And it's always beautiful. It's always great, even though it's the same exact thing. It looks different every year because of just the way snow and sun and seasons work or whatever.
Like an open world game, like Forza, like when the racetrack changes.
Seasons matter.
Yeah, you get like leaves
Great.
falling and then snow falling.
There's
It's very exciting.
totally
That-
physical games made.
Yeah, like people make
board
board
games.
games,
Right.
people have made
It's
card
up to 15
games,
minutes.
and even if you're not like a programmer or an artist or a musician, which is what we always think of as like the base game development
Right, yeah.
things, like you could be a roaming producer, you could be somebody who just sort of like
I am
goes
100%
around.
useless
Yeah.
on a jam.
But you always make something.
I mean, I do business.
We work together.
I mean,
Jam
you're right.
business.
You're totally right. But I mean, I can't.
So you just like
code.
hop from car to car and be like, yo, we got something great. Give me $5. Let's
No,
I'm gonna
card
leak
to card.
this
I'm
to
like,
you.
listen,
Data broker,
bitches.
like.
Yeah.
This is how production and biz dev work.
running from car to car, screaming, pre-order now.
So like a lot of game jams, I stopped doing game jams after a while because like a lot of the jams.
Too big
like,
for it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little
He's
too good
so
for this.
fucking fancy.
He does plain jam now.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I've done Plain Jam once.
Wait, is that a thing?
No.
No, I did.
It was one time I somehow ended up on a private jet and we did.
Wait.
Oh,
Long story.
Real
Long
fucking
story.
life.
Mr.
Long
McGrew, your
story.
way on.
I'm sorry.
We're
Long
just so
story.
happy.
I can't
I
remember
ended
whose
up.
jet
I'm
that
sorry.
on this
Was not
Real
very good.
humans.
I
I
can't
ended
remember.
up on a
Private jet.
fucking private jet,
Yeah, and we decided
Rami.
to jam.
Yeah.
Listen,
Except-
life is
Except
weird.
private jet.
Game development is
Life
weird.
is strange.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
on.
Anyway,
I'm trying to promote Train Jam, goddammit.
Train
yeah.
Jam is great.
Train jam. Let's go back there.
I'm saying like jams have this thing where people get into clusters and they don't talk to each other anymore, and then like 2 days pass and then suddenly a bunch of things pop out. But like Train Jam is the most drive-by, weird collaborating jam
Yeah.
thing I've ever done.
Because there's 350 people on one train, and
Yeah.
like it's a big train. There's 12 cars total on the entire train.
If you want to stop sitting down, you have to move past people, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Can you do art?" And you're like, "No," and they're like, "Cool, can you
Yeah.
help me with this?" You're
Like you see these teams and like, everybody's sort of sitting with their team as best they can, but there's, limited seating everywhere and everything. And then one team's talking about a problem, all of a sudden another team across the way goes, "Oh, I know how to solve that. I can come fix it." And then they do. And then
One of my favorite ones is watching because you don't have internet access for most of this train jam.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
you have to.
So it's
solve-
also 3 days before GDC, which is what
Oh,
everybody wants
God.
is no internet access.
But you have to solve math problems, and the way coding works, people are like, "Yeah, you learn how to code, and then you just know how to code." It's like, no, you use the fucking internet. You look
Google
up
everything.
Stack
Yeah.
Overflow.
Yeah.
Oh my
all
God!
day,
But you don't
every
have
day.
access to this stuff. So when somebody butts up against a really hard math problem, they're just like,
Right.
"Does anyone know how to fill in the blank with some coding thing that I don't understand
Yeah.
at all?" And then you just sort of run up and down the train, just trying to find somebody who knows how to do some math that we didn't.
I've
pay
seen
attention to in
teams
college.
literally change their entire game idea because their programmer couldn't remember how to do a thing.
Yeah.
They're like, how do I
what
calculate this?
Yeah, well, we'll just do a
Like, how
different
do you do
entire
this?
game.
Yep.
I've done that multiple
seen
times.
that.
Oh,
in
it's
Train
so
Jam.
good.
So
I-
the dot
Organizing
product or
Train
cross
Jam,
product?
like how much
game.
time does that take out of your? I mean, it's like a significant chunk of your year.
Yeah, well, so it's weird because it's like, yes, thank you.
You can say all of it. You can
It's
say
not,
the whole thing.
Well, so here's the thing: it's not like a consistent, it takes 6 months of my year, because
It takes 6 months of a year.
in total, it probably takes about half my year.
You also complain
Which
about
is 6 months.
procrastination a lot as well.
But it comes in waves. So right after the previous train jam, I all of a sudden immediately have to get working on the next year because the way Amtrak works, I have to get the dates nailed down, a year in advance so that they can, because we get an extra long train car with extra train. So they have to
They put extra train on your.
Not trying
This
to
is
brag.
seriously-
Not trying to brag.
seriously.
It's literally the biggest train in North America.
Not just that, there's train spotter forums who go
Yeah,
completely
I've-
over the
I've-
top
I've-
over it.
I
It's the
read
greatest
some
thing.
message board where they were like, yeah, well, they're not going to run this thing, and someone was angry about it. They
Yeah.
were like, they should let people on the train.
Yeah.
Adriel- no, but-
There's 300 people
got placed
on that
Without
train.
exaggeration, Adriel has literally been asked to write letters between major train or rail companies in the U.S. for diplomacy reasons, because this is such a unique big. She's a big deal in trains.
Yeah, no, it's super weird.
That's the coolest shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
If I talk to somebody from corporate Amtrak or even a lot of the employees who work on long distance Amtrak trains, even if it's not the one that we do or they've never worked with me, and I say train jam, they go, "That's that gaming thing that I've heard about," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." For a while, I was they weren't super happy with me because they didn't quite understand what we were doing.
You also kind of snuck.
But I also just used to sneak, not sneak so much, but the first few years I would just do a big group reservation and I looked at all the rules to make sure we weren't breaking any rules, but
Yeah,
We used to do that at Denny's
there
though,
were
and they're
real
they're not.
people.
yeah, there were real people with
There were
us.
real people on this
Did you
train.
see that?
Did
We
any of them
also,
get
yes, used
sucked
to do this
into
at
it and be like,
Denny's.
yeah,
Well, so here's
I
the
can
thing:
help
we had 99% of the people when they were just the real people who were with us. 99%
Real
of them
people?
loved
Normals,
us. Yeah, the
normies.
normal people.
Normally people with
and
normal
they-
colored hair.
Game development.
Because the type of person to take a cross-country train trip is sort of tends to be like a very adventurous person who's like weird anyway. So they look at us, they're like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, video games!" Like, and they get really excited about it. And that was one of the things I really liked about those years was that. And 99% of the time it was fine. 1% of the time there was like, "Why are you nerds on my train?" There was this one guy who yelled at me for ruining his wife's birthday because he was mad at me, and I was just like,
His wife was so sorry.
His wife was just there going. But we've lost that in the last 2 years because we've gotten so big that now I have to rent the entire train.
Right.
As you do.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's what the people on the forum that were angry kind of settled on is like, well, they're just running the train extra because they're renting out the entire train.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're taking the train away from you.
Bonus
train.
It's also like
bonus train.
What is it? You run like it's a winter train, but you run in summer configuration.
Yeah, because there's different configurations between winter and summer because winter's the slow season.
Okay.
But we run a summer configuration in the winter, and we also get an extra observation car put on, which is sort of like the
fancy
public
car.
The public space
Fancy
area
car with windows.
with big windows and everything. So we get an extra one of those put on because everybody likes to work where there's big windows. So it's like the summer configuration with an extra car, which is just always weird. But
It's like an In-N-Out.
Do you remember?
There's the hidden menu, and you're like, "Oh, get that shit."
I can pull him out.
Like an animal style train.
Trying to
You
get
remember the
Amtrak
one guy on the
configuration.
Animal
style train.
No, but like seriously, this forum is. These forums are amazing because the things you see there is like.
Felix,
there's
remove
like,
him.
There's like people arguing about how we're gonna pass Detroit Station with a summer configuration with an extra train, and they know the torque of the train. They know everything.
Is this
and then
what
there's
people in high school were about?
But then like
they're
5
so
posts
intense
later.
about it.
5 posts later, there was this one guy, I don't know if it was this year or a year before, he's like, "I don't understand. What are all these nerds doing on this train?" And there was like a follow-up to that post. And there was just somebody who was like, have you looked at our forum? I was like, wow.
Hot kettle, like.
Yeah, right. There's a few people on the forums who have really realized they're like, okay, we're nerds too. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, they take pictures of it now.
Yeah.
Like I've seen them. Like they'll take pictures and then they'll talk about like I just saw the nerd train.
Yeah.
I don't know what they actually call it. It's the nerd train.
I feel like you should. I feel like you would have like a certain amount of like train cred, right? Like because it's like you have this secret train that they didn't even know you could make.
Ghost train.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We had this really cool thing, not this last train jam, but last year's train jam so I got this panicked call from the woman that I work with at Amtrak about 2 weeks before train jam's supposed to go.
Oh yeah.
And she calls me up and she's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know the train track between Salt Lake City and Sacramento is closed because of blizzards and landslides and it was like destroyed.
Not closed.
And there hadn't been any trains going through it for like 2 weeks. And she's like, but we're gonna figure out how to get you to San Francisco. Like, when does GDC start? And I'm like, okay, well, GDC starts on Monday. We normally get in on Saturday, so we have like 24 to 36 hour.
Yeah, a little.
For full transparency, the normal train route that we go on for the train jam goes from Salt Lake City to Sacramento.
Yeah. Well, Chicago to Salt Lake City.
Yeah. The majority of the track you're on.
The
train part that we need is
through
destroyed.
mountains and it's destroyed.
So she ended
Almost
up
the whole thing.
She ended up spending a few weeks on this, and she's since retired. She was great. She was like 78 years old.
She retired.
That's
why we didn't see her.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, she retired in January, but stayed on in an unofficial capacity through this year's train jam just to work with train jam on it. Anyway,
Lady loves trains.
You need to
more.
bring her on the next.
She's already said she's going to come on in 2019.
Oh, fantastic.
If you took every dude wearing a scarf in the front row of the Microsoft briefing and put them all together, they would love games so much less than this lady loved trains.
She was so wonderful. Anyway, so she spent 2 weeks, working with things, and she ended up getting Amtrak and Union Pacific, which is the railroad company that we're mostly on, and then also BNSF, which is another railroad company, and another railroad company, all to agree to make up a new alternate route.
Wow.
That would go from Chicago down south and
like,
across to the Grand
borrowed
Canyon.
train
Yeah,
track?
well, it was gonna be. It was all these like train track things that don't normally work together, and they made this basically a plan B.
Can you imagine
that
the
was
forum
new?
posts? Can you imagine the forum
No, but
posts?
like, you know how they said
If your
Avengers
animal
is
style
the most.
train-
You know how Avengers is said to be the most ambitious crossover ever? This was.
Yeah.
Like they used every real company in the U.S. to somehow create this route that doesn't exist.
And then ultimately,
I remember the email because like we were just mentors. Like
I remember
we
the
organized
face.
mentors, and we got this email like 2 weeks before, like don't worry, guys. I know that everything is closed in California. You can't get through the passes. We are gonna get you.
Imagine if they did this in like 1950, it would have been like on newspaper front pages.
Yeah.
It would have been like the Great Train Fiasco.
So it wasn't until the morning of train jam, because the train leaves at 2 p.m. It was about 10 a.m. that morning that they made the call of what route we would do. And so I had to like communicate to 300 developers. I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna get there, but we're gonna get to San Francisco. But what ended up happening was Union Pacific put on like extra workers to clean up the track and get it all ready, and we were the first train through in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so the train spotting forums were just going nuts because they're like, oh my gosh, it's coming through. And we had this really cool thing. Yeah, we had this really cool thing called a flanger.
Yeah,
it's called a
flanger.
flanger.
Yeah.
And what it is it's like an engine, but it has like a wedge on the front that goes out like that, and it basically just goes in front of you and like makes this thing.
It was super cool.
Yeah,
Flanger.
it's super cool. It's called a flanger.
All right.
But even weirder, see, we're on the train and we're going through like the passes where like the snow, I don't know if you remember like in California last year, the snow was a little high, and we're like going through the passes in the snow, like the observation
It's a double-decker
cars.
train.
It's a double-decker train.
You're like
and
20
the
feet up.
Snow
You're done.
is like at head level, and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, you go down to the bottom level, you can't see out.
So,
Like,
maybe you should know that next year Train Jam is Battle Royale and only one person will arrive.
no
more Battle Royale jokes. No.
100 developers get on a train.
I think
one gets off and
No.
by
ships the
law
game.
now we have
Nobody's
to wrap
allowed
up
to
the
die on
segment.
Train Jam.
We're over the limit on Battle Royale.
we've never had anybody die, and we've never lost anybody on Train Jam.
Train Jam doing great.
Despite Jerry's very best efforts.
We had
Let's not talk about it.
yeah, let's not talk about that one because we'll get in trouble.
So, Tunic. Does this appearance suddenly kick things into high gear? Is there like an additional pressure to be like, do we need to wrap this thing up? Or was the schedule already the schedule and you're still on?
Answer no.
Dicey was going to make a crappy game.
Dicey's not allowed to talk. You all have to talk for
Go with no. I'll take the fall for that one.
All right, then.
Having a publisher is great.
They'll bring you coffee.
Plus, all these trick questions
brought
from
coffee?
Jeff
I didn't see
Gerstmann are not an issue anymore.
We did bring him coffee. What are you talking about?
There'll be a private plane in your
Not
future.
today.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
No one ever is.
I'll take the plane.
Harris, you don't get to go on the plane.
Okay,
It's a
sorry.
private plane for a reason.
Rami?
Funny thing, it's almost like there's less pressure. Like the unknown of where this game is going to go. Like that's actually, for me as a publisher and me as a game developer, that's actually more scary for me.
Yeah.
Just like, how am I going to launch this? How am I going to roll this out? Who's the, I know who the PC audience is going to be, but like who's the console audience going to be and how's it going to be supported and where am I going to go with this? But it's like, it's actually more, it's more comforting when like I have that set, because at that point, like I know what launch and the 18 months after launch and like everything after that, I know what that's going to look like. Because like people are like, oh, you launched a game, good job. And it's like, no, that's like 18 months of like to be honest, like, just total horseshit after launch. Like I'm still supporting Night in the Woods. Like I still have another launch at the end of that. Like
Remember when you launched Night in the Woods and then came on a train?
Oh God,
the next 3 days.
we did support for Night in the Woods on fucking Train Jam with no
Hope the game
internet.
works. Gotta go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peace. I'm out of here.
I thought the two of you were gonna die
It's
last
good
year.
timing because
I thought I was
there's
gonna
no
die
internet on
too.
the train the whole time.
Yeah,
You don't
like-
need to use the internet very much when your game just came out.
Definitely not.
Yeah, no. Within 24 hours
Anyway,
last
guys,
year,
I
we were
hope you're
totally
ready
Train
for
Jam.
this to be a thing when Tunic launches. Just
No, we're not launching
It goes on
Train
Train Jam
Jam.
too, so it's
Oh,
fine.
that's a good
Launch from the
idea.
train.
Yeah.
Just hit
That's it.
Yeah.
the Steam
And you
button.
upload like a 3/4 of a binary by accident.
yeah.
You know that there's literally been a time, I playtest a lot of games right before they come out, right? Like the developers will send me the final build, and they'll let me playtest it, which is really cool. So one time I get this email from a pretty well-known indie publisher. It's not these people.
Not us.
I get this
know
email,
Finji.
and the email literally goes, Rami, we sent you the build for this game yesterday, right? I'm like, yes. They're like, well, so we wrecked the build, and the developers don't know what to do, and you have one of the only existing copies of the
This
game.
was absolutely 100%
Don't launch
not us.
Steam. Just
For the love
the
of God,
bill.
this was not us.
It was not them. Anyway,
We've
this
done other stupid shit.
This binary
It's
was
not it.
broken. This game was programmed in a way where there were no good backups. I was the only person that had a binary at that point. They were going to be able to recover the code because there were some copies offsite, but they had to go get it. The game was launching in an hour and a half. They gave me their Steam login, and I uploaded the binary. And that's how that game launched.
How much did you?
And
charge
it also like set
I
the
got a
course.
special thanks in the credits.
All right.
But not in the release version because they couldn't update it for a week and a half.
I know what company this is, and it actually like set the course for the company's future. So like all
Yeah.
of their future success is based on this like one stupid file. It's amazing.
That's how it happens someday. Well,
Game
special-
development is so professional.
It really is.
Yeah.
Special thanks to all of you for coming and hanging out.
Thanks
I could
for
talk,
having us.
I could talk to y'all for hours, but we are going to move on.
Yeah.
And you've got work to do. You got to get back to this. Okay, so
Work?
code.
Battle Royale.
No, fuck.
1,000 Tunic.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah. 1,000 Zeldas like foxes.
Zelda like a fox.
That's you
Who
still.
owns that URL?
I don't know. Someone registered it.
It pops up all the time.
Yeah, it's if you type that in our search box, Tunic comes up. That's
Persistent,
my doing.
Persistent Universe.
I did that.
You're welcome,
I'm a bad
world.
person.
Loot boxes.
Yeah. Skins.
Persistent Universe.
Thanos.
Microtransactions.
Starter edition that gets you like one of the
Oh
characters.
yeah, the GameSpot edition. Important.
Yeah.
Save the world mode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you need to do a remake of an existing multiplayer thing, but just name it slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can't be deathmatch, but
No.
it has to be deathmatch.
Murder House.
MMO, online only.
Blood splatters everywhere.
Trains.
Oh yeah, and
Trains.
you
It'd be a big train component.
definitely
Are there
need
any
like.
trains in Tunic?
We have no
No.
comment.
Well, that's
about
happening then.
No.
the presence or absence of trains at this
The
time.
train forms are up our ass.
We got
during
train
your
tracks in
comment.
Overland.
All right.
All right, I'll take it.
In
Well, we are going to send it on home. We got one more segment after this one, so everyone hang out, strap in, and we'll be back with more fun